Welcome, viewers. This is Tex of the Black Pants Legion. Now, this is an interview. I've spoken with admins of Space Station 13 before, and they are notoriously antisocial types who generally don't like to talk with or at people for prolonged periods of time, as they are judge, jury, and executioner on a server, and can't be seen demonstrating favoritism, at least in theory. Anyways, here's how this works. I'm putting out an open call to any and all Space Station 13 admins on any public listed servers. This call is here, so answer it. If you are interested in answering or participating in an interview about Space Station 13, its history, or your server, please respond. See the description below for an email contact. I'll try to get to you and we can set something up. Now, that being said, this is an interview with a Space Station 13 admin. The questions are largely freeform, and the discussion does not reflect exactly the policy of the server, unless stated otherwise by the person I'm interviewing. The reason I say this is that I want to encourage an admin to be frank, honest, and open about their experience without worrying that they're shitting on their server, or to prevent them from being yelled at for representing the server community in a bad way. This is a point of view and not, I repeat, not an absolute definition of doctrine on said server. That being said, I welcome our interviewee. Please, internet person, tell me your name you wish to go by, your server, and your admin rank.
Zelda Zachman, or Zelda, if you would be frank. I'm on Citadel Station, formerly Okaku, and a game admin.
Alright, so tell us about your server, its history, and most of all, what makes it unique?
I'm pretty sure most of the viewers currently know about Citadel and its current status. As for its history, it used to be called Kaku back in the day due to hosting problems and basic disagreements. One of the coders wound up splitting into a splinter cell, took half of the server with him, and from the ashes of Kaku became Citadel Station.
Alright. Now, when you say its current status, what do you mean by that?
Well, it's no secret that its current status is a bit more accepting of the furry community and all that.
Well, I mean, every station has furries of some sort. Paradise is known for that. So, what would make that unique?
Mostly customization, the fact that people are able to do absolutely whatever hell it is that they want, and it's mostly just one of those places that players seem to come to at first grief and or have dispositions of just general shit literally, but they seem to hang around, just relax. I myself included in this.
Alright, so you came originally to grief and then ended up staying for the camaraderie, perhaps?
Oh, hell yeah. I'm not even sure how I became staff.
Alright, well, that leads to my next question. Why should a player play on your station, and what makes it interesting?
Just, there's a lot of walks of life that commonly get attacked and all that, so you get everyone of all different sorts. Usually people that are pretty much bored beyond belief will hang out and all that. People that have experience in other sort of communities that, are just looking for a place to stay and hold the ground.
So what you're saying is your server is in some ways a refuge from many places.
Yes, it's a giant refugee camp that's usually on fire.
Well, that's most stations. Atmos is to blame in most cases.
Oh, Atmos is amazing.
So what is the most common thing new players ask about on your station?
Usually how they jerk off. I wish I were kidding this. The most commonly thing that people have helped at first is, how do I jerk off?
It's an interesting answer. I would like to ask you to elaborate, perhaps on game mechanics, but that is entirely your choice.
Well, in the past we had basically little mechanics that were added so that people were able to further experiment in their little RPs or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
So what you're saying is this is an ERP-friendly community.
When the single loose isn't happening, sorta.
Okay, okay. Now,
Sure, some people are going to try it, but
yeah.
there's still going to be spiders and everything else.
So just another day on Space Station 13 with
Oh,
an
hell yeah.
added degree of flavor, you could say.
Pretty much.
So why are you an admin on said server? What made you volunteer your time?
I didn't like the sense of the community that it was going, and I saw it in a hurt state after the coder or ex-coder had left the station along with everyone else.
So what would you say is the hardest part of being an admin on your server?
Sorting through most of the drama, to be honest. It's a unique thing in which, again, you get so many self inserts that it's a little bit monotonous.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
So you have to
please
deal
elaborate.
with. Sorry. Um, People basically have their own little avatar that they made for years and years and years, and have generally strong feelings for this avatar that they've created. If something goes wrong with it, then they're gonna bitch, whine, and moan. But we always have to tell them it's Space Station 13. Like it's a game.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's 2D Spacemans, and some people forget that.
Exactly.
So, what would you say is the greatest personal challenge you faced as an admin?
Uh, that's a tough one, actually. Mostly it's trying to keep up with absolutely everything that's going on.
So, just the continual madness and mayhem of the changing station, or perhaps the forces within it?
Well, it's always been a changing environment. That's why I think people are so drawn to Space Station 13. There's always something to learn from the game. Even if you've been a veteran, there's always something being added to the code.
Yeah, yeah.
But to stay on top of that new additions that are being made and, be able to accurately describe on what the players need to do requires some level-headedness and ability to determine um, what would be best suitable to tell them without going purely out of character and meta knowledge.
Uh-huh. So, what would you say is the greatest challenge of Space Station 13 today, or at least on your server?
Mostly, I would happen to think that most of the biggest challenges that we're currently facing has to be Goon. I am Goofball.
All right.
If only because, well, you're able to post absolutely anything that you would personally like to the GitHub for TG Station.
Yeah.
Um, with that being said, however, I would like to elaborate on that.
Sure,
It's more or
please.
less whenever we pull from TG Station or update the code and all that, it's since TG is always updating constantly on a live server, they're able to fix all the bugs that have been sprouting up from the code within that round.
Yeah.
When you're pulling from it every week or so, those code bugs are going to just be lingering, however.
Yeah, so I mean, what you're saying is the constant changes and additions to code when drawn out to your server, as you are TG base, results in perhaps maybe not all the corrections being made that in the problems that were then introduced.
Exactly, until a later schedule in which we pull again, in which there's usually more problems.
So, stability issues, you would say, are the greatest challenges on your server.
For the most part, yes.
All right. Now, I know that this may or may not be true. Some stations have this problem. Most stations have this problem. How do you combat special snowflakes?
Oh, God. Most of the time, we just let them go unless they're really fucking things up. Um,
Any
you know,
particular stories about that you'd like to share?
uh, where do I start on that?
Well, yeah.
I mean, you talk about a server like Citadel, come on.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I'm just trying not to, what's the word? Pass judgment.
Oh God, please. Most of the listeners are gonna already have dispositions on what they think Citadel is, and I don't blame them. I originally came with that very same viewpoint, and you know, some of it's true, some of it's not. I honestly offer some people just to take a second glance and look at themselves. As for the notable special snowflakes, there was one that was named Koshi. Every time that they would go and get a traitor or antag status, they would hole up within science without fail. It got to the point where you couldn't really acknowledge that they were holed up in science because that's all they would do as an antag. So in order to even say that they're within science is, oh fuck, they're antag yet again.
So
Thankfully, they didn't do shit with it. In which case, most people would just promptly solve that problem by explosions.
So, why would someone hole up in science if they did nothing with it?
I absolutely have no idea.
I
We've
mean,
been trying to comprehend why.
well, were they an expert bomb maker, perhaps?
Oh fuck! No,
Oh,
no, not at all.
okay. So this wasn't a Cuban Pete in the making.
No, no. It was just some kid and he's a little autistic for it, just
Okay.
brewing whatever he could.
All right. So just went to home, as it were, and stayed there.
Exactly. Like I said, most of the go-to ways of solving this was just bomb the little shit out. It's Space Station 13. Bombs happen.
Yeah. I mean, bombs are kind of improvised and designed, and everything else are just part of the fabric of Space Station 13.
Oh yes.
So,
But
well, no, please continue.
all right. I don't know exactly where to start with this. However, most of it just became how badly could we fuck with one player to the point where it became everyone knew that they would be an antag and would wait for them to retaliate against them. Everyone would go about their day, all that, and we would pretty much wait until they threw a bit of a fit.
Yeah.
Um, just screaming, kicking, whining, throwing a little rage that people were trying to get things within sight. At which point they would usually attack someone and all bets were off.
Well, yeah, I mean, once you're valid salad, it's a done deal on some servers.
Damn right.
So, what is your opinion on people who play on your server and record? And furthermore, what about those who stream?
Recording is absolutely fine. However, do take it with a grain of salt that a lot of themes that you may see are going to be of a explicit nature. As for live streaming, we did have one called Gyro Jet that was trying to live stream.
Yeah.
Um, it's Space Station 13 is one of those games that if you know where to look, there's always a story developing. There's always something interesting going on.
Yeah, it does generate its own narrative as it goes along. Whether or not you have a script, you just follow along, and magic can happen anywhere.
Yes, usually involving the clowns.
Well, that's not always the case, but generally is certainly a case.
You should see some of the rounds that we had. Um, a while ago was we had a new cop round. Nothing special there. However, they had enlisted the help of the clown. So, as you know, the mechanics for Citadel Station is Vor and all that, which in itself is a fucking meme, but everyone piled into the clown, as it were.
Uh huh.
And come when they had to inevitably track down the nuclear disk, security decided to arrest the clown for basic dumb shit. Spray painting the windows, graffiti, whatnot. What they didn't expect, however, was five fully armed nuclear operatives storming out of the clown's let's just say,
Right.
and
The shoe.
absolutely fucking shit up.
Damn.
So within a half a minute of a plethora of chaos, bullets, blood, screaming, and whatever else you would want, it's very apparent that things are very wrong. And the cloud, deciding to make the best of this chaos, bombs himself right next to the singularity.
Good God.
Yes. So the singularity gets free. The nuclear operatives are scrambling in order to go and get the nuclear disk. The captain is hidden within a locker in the AI upload. And that's not even the worst part.
Oh?
I'm pretty sure that you're very aware of what happens whenever a Tesla gets set up and then let loose, correct?
Yeah, it's, pyrotechnical to say the least.
Yes. All of the station, except for arrivals, became a hellscape, let's just say. And the biggest cherry on top was the vending machines had the little event that made them become alive. So whatever little survivors were remaining within pockets in the station inevitably died to either suffocation, radiation when the red storm hits, test loose, single loose, or just angry vending machines.
Wow, that's a pretty clean wipe.
There were no survivors.
Just another day on Space Station 13.
Oh, yeah. But all of it happened because they utilized the clown.
Well, utilized.
Yeah, I know.
Alright, so, what's your opinion on metacoms and meta friends?
Metagaming in which, X, Y, and Z is over here. I need to get the station's blueprints. And you're telling people exactly where you are if you're downed? No. If you're trying to teach a friend how to play the game, have already told the admins in advance and are actually choosing a job that will be accommodating, such as cargo, you gotta clear it first, but we're generally accepting of that.
Alright. Now, in your opinion, what do you think makes a good admin good?
The ability to understand that people are people, and we all make mistakes, we all have shitty days, and sometimes we're just here to fuck around.
Yeah.
People get too involved in rules.
Alright. On the inverse, what do you think makes a bad admin bad?
The definition should just be me. VAR editing people to have absolutely whatever rambling and insane thoughts I have at that very moment.
Right.
It kind of became a little bit of an infamous thing in which, people started just coming swastikas in front of the desk of the bridge. But a badman, it's people that play to win.
Mm-hmm.
And don't quite care on the popularity or the implications of what they're doing. They'll admin heal themselves up and all that, and they don't take no for an answer, is the best I could probably guess as.
So, a hardline admin who has a preset disposition of how things must be.
Exactly.
Alright.
It's sort of why I even went on to this station.
To try to break that up.
More so I had experience running, if you will, with one of those admins.
Okay. So, speaking of shitcurity in the Grey Tide, this is something I really do like to ask people. It's a two-part question. How do you handle shitcurity, and how do you handle the Grey Tide?
Most of the time, we do note that people are being a little bit too hostile as security, or power gaming a little bit too hard as security. Sometimes we're talking about, we'll go through absolutely everything that the person has, PDA messaging, the radio headset, try all the frequencies. Just, if we see that, we tell them no, simply.
Okay.
because it is pretty unfair to people that have no chance within the round.
Yeah. Yeah. So about the Grey Tide, how do you handle that and hold that back?
Most of the time, it's actually just solved within in-character developments. Most of the time, they will, however, slip up. Uh, Past that, we do sometimes fuck around with the Grey Tide, or we do make them useful.
In what way? How do you make a Grey Tider useful?
Give them something to kill, of course.
So counter their boredom with a threat they must address.
Exactly. And usually we'll just wait for the game event series to spawn in Antag or whatever. Whenever it be Lone Op, Blob, aliens, abductors, you name it, it happens.
Hmm. Hmm. Just give them purpose by any other means.
Exactly.
So, in your opinion, what is the best AI law set and why?
Are you talking about the ones that you're able to fuck around with or find loopholes?
Either or.
Um, my personal favorite has to be the most poorly written, broken English law sets that people will inevitably try to upload to the AIs.
Any good examples you can think of?
Well, we recently had one that was labeling the RD as a traitor, and therefore he's the only human that must be protected, and yah, yah, yah. The RD wrote this himself and uploaded it himself. However, he also uploaded anti-mov. So, being the only human within the station that must be killed means inevitably his shit was fucked.
Hmm.
Uh, Once that went down, the AI released, I think it was all the slimes along with the monkeys, which, as you're aware, I'm sure of, within the newest TG update, the monkeys become very irate and will attack anyone a la Goon Code.
Yeah, one of my guys in the Black Pants Legion wrote that code and submitted it to TG.
Oh, jeez.
Trugath's monkeys are a sight to behold.
I absolutely love giving them the dumbest shit possible. Canes, Cuban Pete hats, Turpy cigars, you name it, they inevitably beat the shit out of crew members with it.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the original code idea was to have him drag them to disposals and stuff them in.
Oh, God. Really?
Yeah.
That would be a sight to behold.
Yeah, there was some pushback against that, but Trugath, one of my guys in the Legion, came up with that code, and it is absolutely brilliant. They're not quite as robust as Goon Monkeys, but they're certainly a lot better than just standing there blankly as you kill them.
Indeed. I have thoroughly enjoyed them, actually. It's. There's something special about the scientists being mobbed and swarmed to death by monkeys that inevitably should have been contained, let's just say,
Yes. I
but
mean,
it becomes something better. Sorry for interrupting.
no, it's fine. It forces you to use better research protocol, I find.
Exactly.
So, what is the best traitor you've ever seen as an admin?
Um, in the ploy of actually falsifying information and setting someone else up, or like what?
In any case, someone who stands miles ahead. I'm talking about your George Mellons. I'm talking about your Cuban Pete's.
Oh, well, I don't mean to brag, but I used to be very robust with telescience. In fact, I'm kind of partially the reason why TG removed telescience within the round at start. But past that, we did have a clown named Buns, who, you name it, they've played clown for years. Back when Goon had clown as a punishment.
Right.
Um, as for robustness, we're talking about just whenever something happened that inevitably caused chaos, mayhem, and just death,
Yeah.
Buns was usually the sole reason for it.
So what was the best they ever did?
Um, we had a alien outbreak one time, along with a ninja that randomly spawned. He somehow managed to befriend both the alien and the ninja that were both tasked with basically killing him and any other living human being left
Right.
alive on the station. Turning the tide, we had a death squad due to dead chat bitching as they usually do to give them another chance. So Death Squad is, instead of clearing up the house, or station as it were, met at the gate with just aliens being backed by a clown that has the entire armory laced with shotguns, explosions, you name it.
So just one of those remarkable rounds of turning the tide and being well prepared.
Uh, Given the fact that it was 12 Death Squad versus a clown and a bunch of aliens along with the ninja, I would think so, yes.
I'm sure Dead Chat was lively that day.
Oh, God. I sometimes wish that there was the save logs for that.
So what is your favorite round of Space Station 13 you've witnessed so far, and why?
It's really just the rounds I'm actually able to talk to players, in all honesty.
Right.
Um, there's still going to be the round that's going on. The traders are going to do traders things. The lings are going to go and kill whatever chances between them and their objectives. But really, it's being able to have one-on-one time with one of the players and just interact.
So that is the most rewarding, the greatest, most favorite experience of that.
Actually being able to connect with the players and instead of being the admin or the badman or whatnot, it's instead just understanding that we're players too.
So, what would you say is the best sort of player for your station and your community? And inversely, the worst?
For best, it's mostly people that want to learn, experience, and just try new things.
Hmm.
Mostly just keeping an open mind on what there is and is not in the game.
And the
There's not
worst?
much else to be said on that. The worst, huh, that's actually a tough one.
It's why I ask it.
I suppose it would be the ones that hold themselves above everyone else.
Hmm. So, your special snowflakes or similar?
We sort of. It's more or less the ones that want to become admins and more or less have the whole I am the law mindset without truly acknowledging that there are other people playing the game as well.
Mm-hmm. So, and I do ask this because they do pop up every so often. Some stations rarer than others. But what is your opinion on nations rounds?
Classic Nations or its current form?
Either or.
Classic Nations it usually became a cacophony of engineering releases plasma into the station. Cargonia becomes gun heaven. Security tries to arrest absolutely everyone, and the captain dies within 5 minutes of the round.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. I absolutely love it if it's done correctly, which is just utter fucking chaos.
Generally speaking, it usually is, yes. So, what is your favorite role, least favorite role to play when you play, and why?
I've currently been doing security just because we needed the numbers for security officers beefed up. Um, it's mostly just giving the traders a second chance, let them hone their skills, as it were, and, you know, get creative.
Mm.
As for least favorite, It would have to be virology or virologist in its current status.
What do you think on your station is the most powerful and least powerful department?
Well, science always has its little toys, admittedly. However, the most powerful has to be science in its old form, in which you had the geneticist who was able to crank out Hulk in less than 5 minutes, or if they were well enough, even more time.
Yeah,
Um, sorry, English isn't quite my first language.
that's fine.
It's more or less geneticist is the most powerful, if only because they have both medical and science department access.
Hmm.
Um, Past that, the most powerful department would actually have to be again science, if only because of how versatile and how open ended it really becomes in later game. Provided, of course, that miners bring materials back, they're able to do absolutely anything.
Hmm. Well, they certainly can, especially with TG and how resource dependent science is on cargo and mining.
Exactly.
So, as an admin, how often do you press buttons?
It mostly depends on what the current error reads as for the station. Um, Once you play long enough, you kind of start to understand that there's a particular feel for the rounds whenever it's nothing's happening, or there's just general fucking chaos, or people need a break, whatnot.
Right, right.
From the admin perspective, it's more or less if people want the round spiced up, I'll give them the tools in order to do so. If not, I might do an event which usually gets them not only involved but excited for everything that's going to inevitably happen.
So, just fuel to the fire.
Um, yeah, more or less.
So, in your opinion, what is the very best map for Space Station 13 and why?
Well, meta used to be good, but they haven't quite had a upkeep for that, sadly enough. Box is the default for most of them. Then it's Delta, which
Delta is
Delta's
huge.
it's magnificent.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Um, there's efficiency station, which I don't particularly like. There was a bird cage or bird
Bird
boat
boat. I hate bird boat.
that had to be the least favorite for most of our players.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone say what is your favorite, and no one says bird boat. It's usually
Oh,
like
jeez,
I will not speak its name.
jeez, really?
Yeah,
God damn. I,
I've never heard bird boat come up in a positive light ever.
I'm hoping the map maker doesn't hear this then.
Well, I see it as it's an experiment. No maps are really wasted, even if they're not even complete or even fully released, or even if they have a very short lifespan. The goons would not have Cogmap 2 if they didn't build Cogmap 1, you know?
Exactly.
So, and they wouldn't have that unless they built Donut Station and all these other things. So, even if something is not as popular as a current map, it's not really a wasted exercise. It allows you to build for the future.
Sometimes you do kind of get reminiscent, though, for the past, admittedly. I am one of those people that still holds Donut Station to true to the art.
Donut Station was pretty interesting, I remember. Doubly so because if the Singulo got loose there, it wreaked insane havoc.
Exactly. That's the memorable part of it, is most of the rounds I had, um, either the wizard would go and include absolutely everyone, Singulo get loose, or there was just general chaos.
I also remember Donut Station was set up in such a way that it had a lot of murder areas, more or less. Many ways to die, accidentally or on purpose.
Cruise cores, I remember, was absolute fucking hellhole. Just the locker rooms themselves.
Yeah, that was usually the slaughter festival in any given shift.
Most of my favorite was actually, ironically enough, right behind medbay.
Mmm, yeah.
there was a small area in which, if you had a false wall right within the lower bottom part of the map, you could absolutely hide bodies just permanently, and no one would ever check. No one will ever know.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. That station was set up very well to get away with murder. You would just see the population drop.
I remember actually a funny story. If you were at the time playing there, a guy called Jay Wolf,
Hmm.
white afro, usually ran around whatever gimmick he was having for that round.
Possible, possible. I mean, I don't remember all the names so much so. I mean, there's very few names I generally will remember because, like, Cuban Pete would always blow the station up, and when he came on, you knew that was going to happen, so you just waited for it. It became a game of Bomberman. And George Mellon's just because a legendary griefer. But most of the time, the only names I'll remember is if I continually see someone play the same role over and over again, like Sloan on TG, for instance, being head of security.
Oh yeah, he's actually quite competent. Admittedly, he's
Yeah,
caught me many times, but
Sloan has
he's
killed
fair.
every antagonist I've ever seen killed. Pretty much, he can catch and kill anybody.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty glad that I got him on the good side though. It
Yeah,
was I was a changeling, and I got caught early on, just harvesting on humans that were from genetics. Nothing big, but most of the memorable stuff that I can remember would be just again George Mellons. You knew exactly what the hell was coming on whenever they signed up.
yeah. I mean, legendary griefer as well because he could do anything. He knew all the departments. So if he was an engineer, if he was an assistant, or if he was the chef or whatever, he would use the tools available to wreak unholy havoc. Usually the admins would let him get away with it because it was so funny.
I think I might have actually been within the little file that he had.
Mm.
Nothing big, but it's always something amusing to witness whenever someone actually is comprehensive of what they're doing and is good at it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, legendary. Now, in your opinion, since we've been speaking on the subject of this, what is the best Antag role and why?
Um, for causing absolute grief for the admins and just pure unrelenting rage, it was Shadowlings.
Yeah,
Just because it made everyone's administrative duties absolute hell.
yeah.
Um, in all seriousness, though, it's quite diverse in what you're able to do in Space Station 13. Just as a normal trader, as a oldling, it's no hidden message that you're able to do anything that you wanted, provided you had enough genomes.
Mm, mm. Well, here's the last question I ask for every interview, and this has been fairly consistent. Clown or mime?
Clown, hands down, just because I've done that lifestyle.
Okay. Now, as we've reached the end of the interview, do you have anything you want to communicate to the Space Station 13 community? Shout outs, apocalyptic warnings, requests, or so on. The time is yours.
Um, Admittedly, during this entire interview, I've had people blowing my direct messages completely up. That's why I've been so uh, awkward, I suppose.
That's fine.
One of them says, "Say that you're furious." No, I'm not going to say that. God damn. It's the community itself. It's something quite interesting, but past that, it's a flavor unique all its own.
All right. And on those notes, I will end this interview. Thank you for watching, and thank you for joining me, sir.
Thank you for having me.